most important, because getting to match point first is huge in a best-of-5 series. So let's look to see Damwon shore up their champion select and make sure they don't get caught off guard by any funny business. Thankfully, we've now taken down a top lane Pyke. Thank you very much, Riot Games, for nerfing the heck out of it, so it doesn't necessarily work as well, but that has certainly alleviated a lot of my worries moving into Worlds.
Yeah, and I still hope that Loki tries some type of lane swap strategy once again, since it did work so well in Game 2. And I do also want to point out the way side selection works in this series. So Damwon has side selection Game 1, 3, and 5. Game 1, they selected red side. Game 2, Loki has choice, and they too selected red side. But in terms of just replicating what happened in Game 2, you can see in Game 3 here, Damwon taking blue, same bans, same first pick.
Yeah, exactly the same bans as in our second game. Going to happen once again as the Akali snapped away from Showmaker. Let's see where the artifact can be. The Beast Akali that we saw in a few of the games, but there's Gragas Yasuo! And Gragas has been either picked away or banned against Canyon, I think almost this entire tournament. And this is why. It's because they pick this and they destroy you. And what have we learned about Damwon Gaming? It's about mid-game fights transitioning into a very swift victory.
Yeah.
What does Gragas Yasuo do? They fight pretty good in the old mid-game.
Yeah, as soon as Yasuo can utilize that double crit chance passive, no, it's really all just about the synergy from the multiple knockups that Gragas can have, making a nearly unavoidable gank. What'll be interesting to me, though, is what they end up going with the bot lane for Nuclear, because it worked. It was very seamless to have Qiyana and Renekton as two physical damage soul laners last game, because they had the magic damage coming out from Taliyah, who does more magic damage than Gragas in terms of a sustained potential, and a Kai'Sa. But with the Kai'Sa being taken away, there's a chance that low-key could get a little bit of armor stacking in and have some success.
Yeah, last game Canyon did top the damage on his Taliyah, but we've seen many Gragases do a hell of a lot of damage as well, especially looking throughout the LCK. Some of our Gragas performances, especially from Cuz of King's Own Dragon X, were just insane. But Canyon also one of these players, and alongside Showmaker, as far as this duo is concerned, of the Gragas Yasuo that almost looked unbeatable in a lot of the games that we saw it in, at least. It's very, very frightening, because we know that Showmaker just wants to carry.
I can't wait to watch it. I mean, his Akali's been so great. Even in the loss, he was kind of the only one holding it together for a lot of the game.
Well, the Gnar was locked in, and that's something we haven't spoken about just yet. Hani going to be piloting that one towards the top side. Does mean the Akali is definitely going into the mid lane. There's not a lot of flexibility with this low-key squad, and now that they've locked in the jungler, the Skarner is going to be what they decide to take towards the Gragas. This composition isn't looking as quintessential low-key as you'd expect from this this series.
Not looking very fast.
No.
Oh.
All right. Jace locked in. And Taliyah. Is this going to be the adaptation on the Avenger duo that we saw?
Well, the Yasuo might... My brain is just breaking.
Okay, so what's happening is we got Yasuo,
it's probably
is the bottom lane.
That's what I think, And then I'm like, then they're going to put Jace in a soul lane and Taliyah in the jungle.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's what I was how did... Okay, good job. You got there faster than me.
I mean, I've seen it before, right? Yeah. I mean, I commentate this team's league, so theoretically I should have a little bit of an advantage.
Because technically the Jace can go in 3 places. The Renekton could go in 2.
Taliyah can go in 2.
But I also have a theory that like almost any soul lane champion can also work bot lane.
Yeah. So actually, we may not necessarily know. Let's wait 15 seconds.
This is it. You're right.
We guarantee. But this is
guarantee it.
We're guaranteeing it right now?
Guaranteeing.
Wow, you went from not having any clue what's going on to, no, this is definitely it. There is no chance anything's changing. But this is how it should work, right? Because Chovy is our mid lane Jace player in the LCK. Noguri is our top lane Jace player. That is just how it works. Khan, sorry, you lost that title. Noguri is too damn good on this champion. So this is all about dominating the laning phase and having this bottom lane that can be so explosive in the mid game. You keep the best friends duo together, and you get these things to work out for you. So I'm excited to see what Nuclear and Beryl can do, because this is all about commitment on the bottom side. In order to get any control in this lane, you really need to be playing with fire.
Yeah, because it's a lane that can go very wrong, and if we do see Celebrity's Kaisa pick up any early kills, you never really know what's going to happen. But in terms of game pacing or who's going to be better in mid-game team fights, I love what Damwon has done here in saying, no, we're just going to pick all the best mid-game team fighting champions and just not let you have any of them. You can play late game. I think it's a much sounder strategy for Damwon to get a high percentage victory.
The thing I absolutely love is that almost every champion on this Damwon squad has a 2-item power spike. So you know exactly when they're going to be fighting, and you know exactly when we're getting into game number 3. Welcome to the Rift, guys. Damwon Gaming versus Loki Esports, game 3. We were talking about how important this particular game is, because this brings you to match point. This alleviates so much more of those nerves moving into that game number 4 that can be so pivotal. And I love that Damwon have come out swinging in this draft with a lot of comfortable picks for a lot of their players.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then it's also having a little more action even right away in this game, right? Taking the initiative to go and invade, get more deep wards, really try and shut down DNK. In game 2, they were very close to shutting down DNK in the jungle. If you remember, Showmaker stole Raptors as mid lane Kiana, and then Canyon tried the early game Taliyah invade. They might try something similar this game, but we're seeing a slight adaptation from Loki, who's also getting some deep vision of their own.
Yep, we've got wards traded on red buffs on either side of the map. Loki now moving over to get that leash happening for the Skarner, who decided to move elsewhere, as Jat, the artist, is doing some sketching, but hasn't quite decided what he wants to be drawing.
I was trying to get to our feature that you haven't seen yet.
All right.
Which is numbering the jungle camps. So you can see, I'm taking too long on this thing. So like first camp here, right? Where does Canyon
beautiful one
decide to go next? He's likely just going to immediately gank top lane and then go something like second camp, third camp, and try and race to this, unless he sees something happening. But this is exactly what Damwon wants to do.
Has to flash. That's what happens if you land that auto, get that red buff slow. Hani, no option other than flash.
So this actually happened, this exact early game gank path happened in the group stage against Robo, and it was like 40 CS to 2. The difference there, though, is that Robo had touched the wave, and Naguri was able to freeze it on him. This is a flash, so it will be a large advantage, but it's not setting up a freeze in the top lane, so won't be quite as disastrous, and we'll see if DNK ends up just showing on the red buff, since it looks like Canyon decided not to race down bot.
Yeah, that is going to be a ward for low-key, though, and they move over towards there. So vertical jungle is going to ensue, as Venus didn't want to take that turret shot, but thankfully Aftershock is a rune, so we'll keep him alive for the moment. So a red buff is going to be claimed here, but it was a Raptor clear as well, coming in from Canyon, so able to steal away a little bit more than what DNK will be able to, assuming he's not going to immediately head towards that Raptor camp, and I think the Raptor camp would kill him if he went there. Thankfully, the Smite going to get him a whole bunch of his health back.
Yeah, so Damwon actually didn't see any of this because their wards expired right before DNK ended up walking into the area. Canyon's going to have to make an educated guess here. When he does end up showing on a ward, if he shows and has red, he'll know exactly what it is, when I think he's very close to showing down in that bot river, but either way, not too much gained or lost from these early jungle choices.
Yeah, not too much of a worry. They do watch the Scryers Bloom fly along, and Beryl, his spidey senses were tingling, or his scorpion senses, I guess, as DNK has now been confirmed to have stolen the red buff, and now moving over to the Raptors as well. Canyon, if at first you don't succeed, back towards the top side and utilize the lack of flash on Hani. Could this be the first blood for Damwon this series, is the question. DNK looking to try and stop that from being an eventuality. As Beryl on the wrong side. Yeah. Has snuck in here, gets a decent stun as there's the Flash Zenith Blade. Beryl does have the Aftershock, but it's not enough. First blood once again to Celebrity. And I just jinxed it, but that is 3 first bloods in a row for low-key esports.
And coming on to Skarner as well, just so much commitment from Damwon to gank top lane and sit around top lane that kind of let DNK wander everywhere he wanted to. Think about how that was actually a relatively risky play from Skarner when he invaded red buff, got down to 20% health at level 2, went back to river, re-invaded the Raptor camp before looping for that gank. I can see why it was unexpected for Beryl, but it does get rewarded in the first blood.
Comes on down, and I think this was just brilliant timing from DNK on multiple plays in a row, which is so cool, like you were saying. So the body slam being blocked by the Skarner just spelt the end of Beryl. And winning in the 2v2, it's a pretty common thing as DNK now finds Canyon, and the entire threaded volley is soaked by the Skarner, but he has to use the flash to get himself out of the way as Artifact now down to 300, underneath his own turret, and Showmaker asserting dominance. Remember, there is no Twilight Shroud. Showmaker has the flash. He could... Oh man, it's real scary here for Artifact. He has his flash available as well, so in theory should be alright. And Grasp of the Undying is Artifact's decision on the runes. Often fleet footwork is something that you could go for if you're feeling a little bit of pressure, but wanting to have that max health as well. Yeah, Nogari's Jace is pretty good, guys.
Yeah, he has... The thing to point out there is the forward percentage. He's just constantly near the other team's turret, pressuring, trying to get a larger and larger advantage, and that's why you see the most impressive thing here is the damage per minute difference. That's how much more DPM he does than his opponent. A lot of champions or roles average like 400 damage per minute, let alone have that over the other top laner. And I also want to point out 6 minutes and 10 seconds is the first time Canyon has went on the bottom half of the map. He spent the first 6 minutes on the top side of the map. That's how much he was playing around the top side.
He even has Agatha to take as well. If you have a look at Gromp on the blue side, DNK hanging around this Cloud Drake. Of course, Cloud Drake feeling a lot better here for low-key because they have a Skarner. Extra movement speed, always good. Leona as well does like that. DNK only level 5. Still patrolling, trying to keep Artifact safe. And Artifact is the carry of this team most of the time, right? He is the guy that does most of the damage, and he's now on the Akali, a champion that he is known for. This Canyon's going to move on in immediately, but DNK, he's ready. Still, remember, not level 6 just yet. But Venus snaps him right out of the air. The Eclipse is in, and now they're going to turn their attention over to Celebrity. Celebrity will be falling down, but now Venus behind enemy lines looking for his way out. Is this Owen Wilson or is this Leona? As Beryl's chasing after him, he's going for the execution.
Ooh.
And I think he should be able to do it, just waiting for as long as he possibly can. It is going to be the execution. Wastes as much time as possible before pulling the trigger as well.
Yeah, quite well done, letting that timer wear out. The greedier move would have been to continue to run into the jungle and try and get a recall off, but that rarely works, and it's early enough in the death timers that he'll be able to run back to lane in basically the same time, so...
I wonder if that Owen Wilson call actually got picked up, because
which Owen Wilson? I thought you were gonna I think Snake,
Owen Wilson,
like Solid Snake would have been
the actor who acted in Behind Enemy Lines, the movie.
I do remember watching trailers for that movie.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't watch the movie. It was terrible.
I didn't watch the movie.
So making a reference to just a known bad movie is that's a roughie.
There's a lot of movies made that you just completely forget about the existence of until you see them on like your Netflix scroll wheel.
Yeah.
Like wow, there's such good actors in this. How did I never hear about it?
And then, because it was you remember. And the worst one is when you you open it up thinking that you've never seen it before, and the intro is like that terrible intro that you remember not wanting to watch. As we have a look at this replay once again.
Yeah, I mean, really, Venus landing that Zenith Blade is what ends up securing them the kill. But because Showmaker had channeled the teleport, which had already been burned by the Akali, it kind of gives them at least a 1-for-1. And then let's see if Beryl was in experience range. So even though he doesn't get gold, he does get the experience for it. So that's decent in keeping him alive in this game because they don't want to necessarily fight until they can at least match 6s down bottom.
The thing that I really like as well is that Beryl was the one that went after him. So you're not actually wasting any time farming because the entire bottom lane was dead. So the Yasuo Nuclear was able to get around that bottom lane, clean up all those minions, get the minion waves into exactly where they needed to, and Showmaker didn't waste any time. He moved straight towards the mid lane again. So just good clean play as far as making sure that no resources went to waste. But it is still low-key with an advantage as far as kills. It's not in terms of gold. We've gotten used to seeing this so far. You just need to be that little bit more ahead than you otherwise think you need to be.
Yeah, and as we approach the 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes are not exactly Damwon's specialty, even in the group stage, but it is really between the 20 and 25-minute mark you can see where they've been exploding their gold leads. And part of that is just them being good, but a lot of it is they just hit the specific items that they want to, and then they go very aggressive. But in terms of the early game, it hasn't been that great for them.
Yeah, but going, like, doubling your lead between those last 10 minutes as well just shows that this team plays around the time Baron spawns. That's when they go for their fights, and then they can move towards the Baron, and then they win the game, right? That's how they sort of expand their leads. And once again, this is a composition that has all of those things, right? Noguri going towards the lethality version of the Jace. We've seen a few different varieties. Is this the first time we've seen Jace?
Stats would have told me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
That's true. I don't think so. Not so far in this tournament. Just having a little bit of a brain fade. First time we've seen Noguri's Jace, though. It's not the first time I've seen Noguri destroy a turret at around 10 minutes.
10:35. 5 plates to Jace, 30 CS advantage, and now the Rift to bring mid. So before 14 minutes, Damwon can have both of the solo lanes opened up, which will then kind of allow them to go around and hunt with this Gragas Yasuo. Pretty much wherever they want to go. So even though the first 10 minutes weren't that great, it does seem like they're kind of getting what they want out of this game.
Really interesting thing about the Yasuo synergy for this comp as well is that you've got Seismic Shove, AoE knockup, and you've also got the Hammerback for the Jace as well. So you've got 4 members that are capable of setting up the Yasuo if you include Yasuo himself.
Yeah, and you were right about the Jace pick. It had been banned before so far in the playing stage.
Okay,
so.
Cool. I believe Armut was the player that got the Jace banned against him.
Yeah. We're going to get to see him play up next.
Maybe the Jace
Clutch.
even.
Yeah.
Stay tuned after this series for Clutch versus Royal Youth. There's his low-key coming down for a gank. 3 versus 2 as Nuclear already down extraordinarily low. The last breath not going to be utilized because Nuclear knew he was dead. The teleport now coming in. Not sure what Noguri wanted to do. He wanted to use both of his summoner spells, and he got his wish as Rift Herald is going to be thrown down in the mid lane. It was all the distraction play, exactly what Nuclear has been used to.
I think he was hoping Nuclear would ult off the Gragas ulti and then Nuguri would come in to turn that play around. But that didn't happen, so he had to flash immediately. Rift Herald distracts, and now we could see a bit of a skirmish around the Cloud Drake.
Yeah, of course, this is the latest Drake's taken to go down as well this series because we've seen so many Infernals and pretty nice dragons. Not going to be happening this time. The Cloud is going to be the debut dragon as Beryl finds himself a control ward and is going to look to clear that one out. So much vision control around this area for Damwon, but they still don't want the dragon. Powered Shock Blast. DNK might overextend here, but they're not going to go for it. Beryl and Canyon over to the side. Showmaker in here as well. Vision available. Celebrity finds a Void Seeker, but otherwise not too much to be found. Blue buff is what they're fighting over.
Refreshing the issue. Let's see if Loki fights back.
DNK. He was looking for the ult, but didn't even get there. Harney's on the top side. He ain't doing anything. He's got no teleporters. Nuclear is looking to turn up. Can we find the knockups? As Showmaker is gigantic. Canyon jumps over with the wall, and there's the flash forward. Beryl gets the body slam, and Nuclear just smacks him back down with the last breath.
You could see how much Damwon was just trying to force Loki into action right there, and eventually they do. Showmaker kind of randomly ends up picking up the blue buff because of his ultimate Dominus ticks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and now they just continue to push forward.
That was, I think that was planned, I would assume, as the last plate. One of the last plates going to be taken down here as the burst damage is easily enough. Beryl gets a well-deserved kill. Gragas doing a lot of the work there. As Artifact 1v1'd Noguri on the bottom side of the map, guys. That happened.
We're gonna have to.
In the meantime, that's the thing that happened.
Yeah, that, and looks like he did it without his ultimate too. So that will require a second look.
Yeah. I mean, I know there was a lot going on, but I'd really like to have a look at how that happened.
Kali does damage. Maybe.
She does. She does. I actually just want to see how it all went down. Remember, he used both of his summoner spells. He's on.
So he's already relatively low.
Mana.
Cutlass probably just lands an E, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't even need that.
I don't even think he lost a health.
Very easy.
1 health. and
For
HP.
Akali in the side lanes.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop him from having the most gold in the game.
I think he also went back and got a full Dustblade of Drakthar, so maybe greeting for a turret plate and understanding that he was probably going to be taken down. So now, with all that lethality that we were talking about, this is, of course, the 2-item build that you want for a mid-game Jace power spike. Does go along with what Damwon have available to them. So we are at the time where they do want to be pushing the envelope, getting things forward, locking down these turrets, getting the team fights that they want. But it's Loki that's able to do so, as Noggery, should be dead underneath this turret. The Impale is in, all too easy, but now Showmaker turns up. Nard back underneath this turret, but now the rest of Damwon gets in here. The last breath, Venus looking to go down second as the Gnar was already dead. Artifact as well, unable to lock down Canyon, is now DNK. He's the one in the enemy jungle. And Beryl is looking for him. Doesn't have the ultimate. In fact, no one has ultimates, but they don't need them. As Nuclear picks up that one very comfortably with just a spin of the Q.
Yeah, even though I like the idea of Loki to punish Noggery over and over again, since that is really his weakness as a player. So many isolated deaths, always trying to maximize his gold. They're committing very hard for it, and in this game, Damwon Gaming is really chasing after those commits to clean up. So even though no early game resources were really used onto Nuclear, he's now sitting at a 3-kill Yasuo. You watch this fight once again, they dive through the turret, they use Skarner ulti, they lose Leona ulti, and then just to disengage, they're using Gnar ulti, which makes the re-engage by Damwon pretty free. Gragas into Yasuo, easy does it, and then since DNK had already dove behind the turret, it's easy to chase him down. Nice shot by Canyon here with the Taliyah.
Oh, yeah, over the wall. Didn't actually miss that as it was all going on. And his flash to get out of the way of the Akali as well. I believe Artifact didn't have a charge left of the ultimate to get into the fight. So just disjointed from Loki, but an immediate answer from Damwon Gaming. You'd think 3 versus 1 is probably enough to take someone down in a side lane. But
it is.
Not only were they unable to win the ensuing fight, but they gave Noggery the 0-2 power spike.
That is his specialty.
That is his specialty, Jat. I'm glad that you've learned.
0-2, and also 700 more gold than the rest of his team. Because of turret plates.
Just Noggery things, guys.
We mentioned that Damwon has 2-item power spikes. A lot of these champs are just one.
That's
like
true.
Ghostblade on Jace, Sojin on Renekton, your Shiv on Yasuo. That's really what you need to just turn on and become powerful. Same with Runic Echoes on Canyon. So I think that's why we've seen them try and be so active. And I do like what Loki's doing here. They're just trying to chase for kills to break the inevitability of all this side lane pressure that Damwon's comp can put out. But if any of those initiations go at all wrong, like we saw the 3-man get countered, and then this other 3-man just now completely miss on Showmaker, they lose so much around the rest of the map.
And Damwon wishes that they could be trying to get topside vision and playing around a Baron pit, but unfortunately, we're still 2.5 minutes away from the Baron even being a thing on the map. Shelly was taken very, very quickly in this game, and it's a 6,000 gold lead. It feels like Damwon have been warming up so far this series. And Loki just want game 1 back. They want their lane swap back, and I want to go back to the draft, Jad, because I feel like this was a misfire on the draft for Loki, because I think what made them special in game 1 was that they were mixing it up. They were creating strange things. And this draft is uninteresting in a lot of ways when it comes to changing the meta and adapting to what makes Loki Loki.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. It's also kind of, you got to check, like, what are our expectations really as Venus gets...
I think he might be dead, guys. Well, Hani is in position, has Mega Gnar available.
They might try and fight.
Yeah, we look for it as Beryl does have his stopwatch available anyway, as double kill comes in for the Renekton. Artifact off to the backside, but he is just dealt with, stabbed with a Q. And I was looking for QSS in my brain. I couldn't find it, and Loki couldn't find the team fight.
Because every time we have these David and Goliath type matchups.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We always ask the David in the story to try a bunch of new weird strategies. But there's only so much you can innovate and bring to a series, right? Like lane swapping was their one. They're kind of just assuming that Damwon has an answer to it, or they only like doing that with Tristan Ornn. Right? And it's been taken away completely from them in the draft phase. And then secondarily, you're saying, all right, maybe solo lane Pike. Well, it didn't work, right? How many of these things can you keep pulling out of your pockets? Or does Damwon just kind of take the early game team against you and crush, which is what we're seeing here. Loki's trying to fight back. But
it almost worked, actually. The Gnar into the backline from Hani was actually great, but unfortunately, the Crocodile was just way too big.
Yeah. Showmaker's Renekton is pretty scary.
Yeah, can't find him at the moment. As we have a look at the damage to champions, Nagari done the most inting for Damwon this game, has done the most damage, and has earned the most gold. He's a man that likes all the attention, and so far he's deserving it. His Jace is living up to expectation. Baron finally spawns as DNK goes down to below half, taking a threaded volley from Canyon.
Yeah, it's the... I don't want to say he has a good 0-2-6 Jace game, because normally you say no, if it gets late game, it's bad, you don't want to give gold, but he's having a pretty good 0-2-6 Jace game. He's got the most gold in the game.
You got to get used to it.
But
you got to get used to the 0-2 power spike, Jack.
Canyon spent the first 6 minutes ganking for him.
Yeah.
And then still abandoned the bot side. I want to say Nuclear and Barrel have done work this game, because look.
Well, they're going to find them yet again.
There it is again.
All too easy. The best friends club on the bottom side of the map. DNK not going to get locked down, but at least they do bully them out of their own jungle, and the Baron could be the opportunity here for Damwon.
Yeah, and because they have so many melees, they actually do fight as their way of breaking this open, and really just, I think they're just going to keep running these plays for picks over and over again. Having the Mountain Drake does make it more possible for them to take Drake, but don't see them in any rush. To just get back to Nuclear and Barrel, this is what you really love as a jungler if your bot lane can do this. You spend the whole game topside.
Yep.
And then they don't complain.
No.
They join in for your team fights, and then they end up just getting their gold anyway after the kills. And
they engage your fights for you and provide perfect setups for your seismic shove, so you look really good.
These are the freelo games. When you're able to just hard camp your Jace, the other jungler just lives bot side and doesn't get anything done.
Yep, that's the honor your bottom lane, guys. Even though the jungler is the one that looks like he's really cool in the early stages, don't worry. It's all about the bottom lane not losing.
Yeah. Really, if you think about the strategy, Canyon and Nagari, like, the strategy itself didn't work.
No,
Yes, they did kill the turret early, which is part of the strategy working, but they were unable to generate any kills for themselves. Really, the mid and bot lane was just played 3v4 for most of the game. They're carrying.
And now there's an Infinity Edge on Nuclear, so that's the 2-item spike that everyone knows about.
There it is.
On the old Yasuo, 100% crit, absolutely there. And there's the 2 items that Showmaker wanted. He's a very big boy, Sphere of Sojin as well as his Black Cleaver. A heck of a lot of cooldown reduction, if you don't mind, an infinite cooldown reduction when he presses R. This is a scary amount of damage. I think Canyon needs to go back home and maybe buy his next item, but his stopwatch is still unused, so he basically has a Zhonya's. Now Damwon looking to try and dive in a turret. Nagari clearing out some wards there as there's the flick back, half the health bar, missing on the Skarner.
Spooky.
This is just a siege. It's aggressive because remember, this composition doesn't siege very well at all.
Yep.
They do have the damage, and if they're intimidating enough, they can get that low range to work as there's the barrel, the boot back, the ultimate combo, and Canyon picks up the kill with a threaded volley. It's what happens. I mean, David versus Goliath. Now it's the Goliath that's throwing the rocks. It's
so unfair.
The tables have turned, Jad. It's like game 1 happened, but then
look how many rocks he has.
Stole his weapon.
He's got a ton of rocks.
Yeah, in a row. And this Baron may just be dead. 23 minutes into the game.
Might get a fight. Oh, that's good. That's a good reveal.
We're down to 2,000. We could have another steal as Nagari, not even in the pit, but Canyon is going to be able to get that one locked down. Oh, the boot back.
There it is.
The 4-man Gnar into the wall. Could this be Loki's team fight already to have gone down as Nagari gonna have to do it by himself as Canyon now over to the side, having to fight Artifact. And look at the aggro management. It's stunning from Loki, and they get the ace.
Oh, man. Damwon just group up for the Gnar ultimate. I'll have to go back and see why was Nagari not there. Like, he is playing so sloppily in this whole series. They picked DNK as the jungler. Maybe Nagari wanted to go back for some mana. Yeah. And then he just teleports in way far away from the rest of the team. I really put this almost entirely on Jace, because if this was a 5v5 and the team didn't have to all hide in the back of the pit for the Gnar and they could actually pull back out for a real fight, I don't think this happens. Celebrity doing a very good job ulting away from Nagri at the end of this fight.
Yeah.
To pick up the kill and keep it really just completely invalidating the Baron. The Baron power play is over.
Yeah, there is no Baron. Baron's gone. It's dead. It's over. 5,000 gold is the lead for Damwon, but you wouldn't expect it. After a fight like that, you saw Celebrity's damage just huge. The way he kited Nagri at the end there is the reason why they were able to win, because they were really low health bars, right? He insta-kills the Kai'Sa in one of the iterations of that fight. It's a theory that that could have been a quadra kill for the Jace. It wasn't the case, though. He was able to trade 1-for-1 at the very end in that isolated moment. And that means that Celebrity dies, but all of Damwon is the trade.
And
which,
it does,
by the way, is not worth
it. Yeah, because it leaves the window open now for Celebrity to carry.
Yeah.
Right? We have, yes, we do have a bot lane Yasuo. We don't have the same type of sustained damage threat that you get from the 3-item Kai'Sa. Still 6,000 gold lead, still, you know, Damwon macro versus Loki macro, and Loki says they just go for kills for their general strategy, but getting rid of the Baron and winning that fight gives them a bit of a chance.
Well, Nagri has to flash to get out of the way of the Solar Flare. Couldn't proc his Edge of Night fast enough. Presses all of those buttons as quickly as he can, but Damwon looking like they're scattered a little bit. Not their true, well-oiled, coordinated selves. Is the Baron no longer a thing to fight for? The Mountain Drake was taken by Loki as well. Still have to wait 3.5 minutes for that objective to be on the board. And Damwon are looking for poke damage with the Jace, but he's the only member of the squad, apart from, I guess, a Gragas that can really help with that. And even then, it's not necessarily working, because there is a fair bit of ability to soak here. Venus stands in front, presses W. Things feel all right.
Yeah, and if Skarner and Gnar both build up towards potentially Rand wins, or even just armor health items like a Dead Man's Plate or something, they'll be much more resilient to Damwon. Because like we talked about, hey, what's their bot lane going to be? They do need to worry a little bit about damage spread later in the game. They do that. Technically, their 3 main carry roles are all physical damage, and if Canyon misses his skill shots in a fight, it's a front line that's going to be relatively difficult for Damwon to take down.
Well, you can see that gold graph. Certainly fallen back. See that little spike there? I believe that was just as the Baron went down. And then immediately, we had a bit of a change.
9.5k gold would be a massive throw.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not there yet, though. They still have control of pretty much the whole map.
Yeah, I wouldn't go applying for baseball teams or anything like that yet. Damwon. Not necessary. As all the vision around this Baron pit is certainly belong to them. We've got identical spawn timers down to the second on the Dragon and the Baron, which is cool.
I'm trying to like
look at them both at the same time,
to see
right?
if they actually are completely identical.
I think
they seem ridiculously close. Because these timers are automatic. It's not like someone pressed start on both of them. I'm pretty sure they're automatic in the spectator class.
Does the circles help you pay attention?
Yeah.
It's my first use of
circles. Is
circles.
the one on the right a little behind?
I think the Baron's a little bit earlier.
Okay.
I think if you were going to objectively go to the one that spawns first, it's the Baron.
Yeah.
But, I can get rid of those circles now. I'm a little bit excited. That was my first circle.
Yeah, it's almost like the game where there's a square bouncing around on the screen. You're trying to wait for it to the corner. I've never seen timers this sync in my life.
I know. This is amazing.
And the kills are the same.
Oh my.
Both teams have a Mountain Drake.
And the scores are the same. And the turrets are completely different. The Drakes are completely different. It's a disaster.
Yeah, 1-1, 11-11.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, for a second.
Oh, yeah. We had like 1-1-1-1. It's just binary, everything. I don't know, man. Maybe there's some trickery at work. Speaking of trickery at work, Jad, I want to bring it back to the game just a little bit and look at the warding here. Because you can see that line of control ward that Damwon have set up. This is the suffocation that Damwon are capable of in the mid to late game, where they just make sure that there's just a whole bunch of your jungle camps that you're not allowed to take.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, Loki would have to take a big risk here if they wanted to just rush Baron. Because if I'd expect Damwon to just have Baron vision and then have someone go kind of lazily take Mountain Drake. So you'd have to guess, right? As that happens, Loki is kind of guessing, but there's a high chance to get caught out here.
Oh, DNK once again down to half. It's another barrel to come back. The last breath, and into the death chamber goes the Scorpion. Yep.
Yeah. But no one was moved to the Mountain Drake. Damwon kept 5 people completely around the Baron
that's
pit.
True. So Loki
and Loki couldn't check.
They could trade the Mountain Drake for the Baron here as well, so all is not entirely lost.
I think they want to fight, though.
Yep, Weird as well is going to get rid of a few, but Venus will have the ability to throw over the Lantern if he wants to, but they've already lost the Baron. No chance. There's no smite available, and now 5 versus 4 is not a fight that Loki wanted to take. Good empowered shock blast there from Noguri. As I believe at least one person will head down, grab that Mountain Drake, and now continue the push here for Damwon. It feels like they've had one hiccup, but they've pulled things back.
Yep. Critically, Noguri didn't teleport back to base to finish his item while his team was doing Baron.
And then that resulted in Damwon not all dying after taking the Baron. This power play might be better than the first one.
I think it will be. DNK really far ahead of his team there. I think Loki would have wanted to be more grouped right there and definitely needed Gnar with them if they're going to be doing a face check like that, and is easily punished by Damwon.
Yep. So pretty elementary play there. They grabbed themselves that second Mountain Drake very easily. And now it's Nuclear building towards his more of Mount Mortius. It's a 5-item. Yasuo incoming. It's getting very scary. GA is done for Showmaker. He is gigantic. And now Black Cleaver for Noguri with Mercurial Scimitar completion away from this Jace being 6 items. And I could keep listing off the item spikes, but I think you guys understand that this is a Damwon that is well and truly ready to fight and ready to win this game, and they now have a Baron buff in order to do so. Loki need a desperation team fight, and they need it to be heroic.
Yep, and I think they should probably go for it pretty soon, especially since they were unable to keep the minion wave dead and will be losing this inhibitor soon. Or they can wait for another 4-1 opportunity, so eventually Showmaker or Noguri will be off in the side trying to do damage to a turret.
Yeah.
Right when he shows there,
wave,
you want to try. It's just everything's really hard because they also don't have any flank wars to teleport in behind.
Well, having like only 2 champions that are pseudo-ranged is a problem, which is why these inhibitors are difficult to take down even with a Baron.
Yep.
But it will eventually go... I say difficult to take down, but with a 9,000 gold lead, this should be a steamroll, right? But it wasn't the case.
Yeah, they have 3 cannons that ended up grouping up for that one. That's how long they held that minion wave there.
Noguri's still using it, like boosting up these cannon minions with the Baron buff. Finally, Celebrity gets there, but goes down to half health by just an empowered shock blast.
Oh, so pretty how the 3rd wave just arrives as the 2nd one crashes.
It's like a cooking show, isn't it? This is the one I prepared earlier, talking about minion waves. This time, Damwon take down this inhibitor. Inhibitor turret first, we're playing it by the book, but in goes Celebrity. He's going to start this fight against Noguri, but look at the burst damage, the flash over. The hammer shot was actually what was locking down Celebrity. Brilliant stuff there from Noguri as Showmaker dives onto Celebrity there. And you can see Damwon, no one going down just like, finally, it's Nuclear that falls, but the health bars of Loki were all invested for one pesky Yasuo. It's turned, though, in the end, so 2 for 2 thus far as the bottom lane from Damwon did fall.
Noguri wants to end.
Yeah. And
he says stop the recalls.
He's just going to be jumping on top of these Nexus turrets. The Nexus is going to be the next one, and yeah, we've stopped the backs. And Damwon moved to match point in this series.
14 kills to 14, so got picked off a little bit more than they would want to, but kept the map pressure, the gold, and the turret.